Hello everyone, my name is Jenny and I am an astrologer and an energy healer. I work with Archangel Metatron and I channel other ascended masters and archangels in bringing forward these messages. Metatron and I go over the energies that all of us are contending with right now. I try to steer clear of sun sign astrology just because that's part of the reason people don't respect it, is because, you know, it can't possibly apply to everyone with that sun sign. And these are universal energies that we're all in different areas of our life being affected by the energies in some way. Different ways, but always, you know, the universal theme is the same for everyone, is what Metatron is saying. So welcome to all of my new subscribers. I had a lot of new subscribers last month, so that's always nice. And thanks to all of you who subscribe and who like and comment and share my videos. I did not get a notification the last time it went up. I've noticed with other people that I subscribe to that YouTube is sending them out late. They did allow us, they sent out a survey, you know, asking like how things are working out. So I suppose they have heard the same thing that all of us have been saying. So hopefully they're working on getting that all cleaned up. I want to talk first about what I do when I talk about doing energy healing, okay? So I trained in a few different healing modalities, and one of them I was a teacher. And then after I got all of my teaching certifications done, I was teaching that. Metatron took me on a little bit away from that. And we started doing the healings in the way that he taught me. And that's by removing the stories. What I do is I look at your chart, and it's sort of like a map of you. Okay, it's like a blueprint. I remember years ago when I first found astrology, I called it the blueprint of the soul, because all of your history and what you came to accomplish in this timeline is there. All of the timelines, in fact, as we talked about the timelines and how that works, and how in this timeline, the here and now, we're here, somewhere else. Okay, these are playing out other places, and where this is, it's actually here. So when you're there, then this is at the center, and then there are 6 others, and that's the way it works. I've actually been doing that work since I was a baby. I was sort of born doing timeline adventures, is what Metatron is saying, timeline adventures. And I was very young. I don't have any idea. My mother said that I had just started talking. I talked very early. I've got a lot of Gemini, a lot of Mercury happening in my chart, and I would tell them about what I was doing overnight. You know, I can remember too, because of my Mercury. I can remember being in the high chair and them laughing at me. I mean, they were what, 21 years old, and they were listening to their baby telling them, we went here and we went there and we did this and we did that. And so they would laugh at me, right? But that actually is a story that played out in a past life when my family didn't believe what I had to share. Okay, and a lot of times when we have issues with the throat chakra, it shows in your natal chart, but it also tells me what it was that transpired that brought that about. So in healing sessions, what I do with Metatron is I hold space for you. Metatron simply takes you into the memory, into the timeline, and we watch it together. It plays out like a movie. I don't tell you. Sometimes I'll give people the opening scene, especially if it's their first time doing that work. But we look at the timeline and we remove the stories from your physical body, from your energy bodies, from your subtle bodies. So all of the different aspects and levels of you, of which there are almost an innumerable number, just like timelines, okay? And when we talk about, you know, different dimensions and different places, it's always important that we're going through them, through the energy of pure unconditional love. That's how I channel. That's how I do healings. Of course, Metatron will assist me in all of that. And if there's anything that I'm missing because I'm human, if there's a part of a story that I didn't recognize, then he'll bring that to my attention. So what we do in the initial healing is we go through and we do a huge, like, wipe out so many stories. 99% of the time when I say to people, how do you feel? They say, I feel lighter, because that's what it means to ascend, right? We remove those stories, all of that dark, icky, no longer serves us energy, and our vibration is raised, okay? That's what it means to ascend. So that's what I do in my work in private sessions. And in order to book like a package or a 30-minute healing, it's important that we do the initial hour-long session, because then you and I build a rapport, we build trust between us, and you can also see that I know what I'm doing. So that's the way that I do work in private sessions. And a lot of you ask how to book a session. That is on, if you hit show more, the description box will come up. Anything that I've talked about in the video, I try to include there. Like cards that I use, and then all of my social media information, or how to make an appointment, how to email me. I appreciate the emails and the comments that I get. I haven't been able to answer all of them, but I want you to know that it means a lot to me, all of your support, especially because I posted on my personal Facebook page just a sample of a really nasty comment that I had this past week. You don't have to say anything in the comments. It doesn't bother me. It just, it kind of freaks me out how angry some people are over nothing. And I made the post on September 19th relating to Saturn. And Saturn just gets such a, he's in my first house. He's conjunct my ascendant. He's the wise teacher. And he also is the taskmaster until we get our stuff together, right? So he gets a bad rap, and people forget a lot of times that he also, you don't just reap negative karma with Saturn. You reap benefits and rewards that you've earned through hard work. Okay, so I was trying to bring forward that energy and put a positive spin on things, and somebody just, I think she said, like, that if we hadn't cleaned up what's gone on during the Saturn retrograde, that we had 35 years of bad karma coming. And, I don't remember, she called me a name. So anyway, it was just like, oh. But if that's what she wants to create for herself, then who am I to judge or to explain to her? A lot of times, especially in this energy, you may have something that somebody needs to hear, and they don't want to hear it, and they're not going to accept it. Just move on. And so getting to my next point, I had to remove someone from the page. I can't remember if it was the group or the page. I think it was the group. So it's amazing to me, and a friend of mine who also does this work had been relaying some stories to me about what happened on her page when she posted about Greta. And I don't think it's Greta Thunberg. Or I'm not sure how the last name is said even, because I try not to watch the news a lot. I read, but I don't watch the news. But it was just amazing to me that people are so triggered by this. Like, here are the youth of the world uniting peacefully, okay, to bring change. And they're serious. And, she's got Uranus and Aquarius. These kids are not messing around. They are not going to put up with the old patriarchal story. Okay, I've seen her natal chart. I believe in this girl. Okay, Joan of Arc was her age when she did what she did. There's so many, Malala also. There's so many examples throughout history of the youth taking back their future. Okay, because guess what? We dropped the ball, or we wouldn't be in this position. And I think that people in the older generations have a hard time facing that, or maybe feel like they're at fault, and so it's difficult for them to believe that this girl is, you know, doing the right thing, or that there's some dark, terrible thing going on behind the scenes with her. And I'm just not gonna have that on my page. I'm just not going to. And if there's a lot of places to post nasty things or judgmental things on Facebook, or to be negative, but that page is not one of them. And so I deleted some comments that were made and related to a conspiracy theory that is nonsense, and I'm sure that that's true. And when I posted, you know, this isn't the page to be writing those things or nonsense conspiracy theories. I don't think that all conspiracy theories are nonsense, but some are. And, you know, I posted that this wasn't the place, and that we try to promote the energy of the Christ consciousness. And someone had made a comment to me that I wasn't being reasonable. I deleted the comment, and I know her from a session. So I messaged her privately on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends. And I said, I'm not really sure what's happening with you, but that isn't the way to handle it. You don't even know what I'm talking about. And the next day she posted something else nasty. And so I had to take her off the page. I sent her a message and explained to her that, you know, this was not about drama or getting caught up in being offended by anything that was said in the spirit of unity and peace. And I just can't have that on the page. So I know that, like, my friend who I was referring to had much more contentious comments. She has a lot more people on her page. So, but it's really, if this is triggering you, then really, you know, it's important to heal that, because it's most likely related to when you're set off by leaders, any leader. I don't care if it's a spiritual leader or a government leader, or, you know, your father, your mother. It all is going to relate to a time when you were in a position of authority where you abused your power. We all did that. Okay, we all have that story. If you've gone into a lifetime where you were abused, then simultaneously, okay, you were the abuser. That's the way that it is, and nobody likes to see that. You know, everybody wants to talk about all of the, ooh, and I was caught up in that too. I get it. But at the same time, you know, when I started looking into the lifetimes that I had abused power, I recognized then that when I would say, like, why was I doing these horrible things, then they would show me that simultaneously I was not in the shadow, I was working from the light. And that's the way that it's been for all of us. Just as, you know, I was one of the Essenes, and I also played a role in ending the Cathars. Like, if we've done one, we've done the other. And that's just the way that it is, okay? And so when you're having right now with this Saturn, South Node, Pluto conjunction, and these energies are going to be playing out through about February of next year, like, give or take. I mean, it could be a bit longer for some people, that as we process through, these aren't like fast moving planets that we're talking about. And when they're coming into this conjunction in Capricorn, it's like earth shifting, okay, in some way, in individually, and maybe in the earth. But when these things are coming up for you, then it's important to, not saying that you have to go to me or, you know, see me, or that you can't do it on your own. I like to go to people outside of myself, because I think that it promotes, I think it prevents becoming prideful. And also because I recognize that you can block yourself, okay? You cannot see a lot of things about yourself. And it's one thing to give lip service to, like, yeah, I did these shadow things. It's another thing to really take the responsibility and then allow it to be released. Allow yourself to be forgiven. Otherwise, you're dragging it with you. And Pluto and the Phoenix rising from the ashes, it's coming to the ashes. And when we face our shadow and we break it down and we come to, like, our raw core of what it is that we stripped us of our power, why we've taken on these stories now of allowing others to have control over us, to have power over us. When we look at those stories and we can say, yes, I did that, and I still love myself and I forgive myself. I still believe that I am a spark of God. I am not the actions or the experiences that I have had. I am not the wrongs that I've perpetrated on other people. That's when you come into your own power and you recognize that you are your higher self on the planet, behind the mask of ego, okay? A lot of people are not ready to recognize who they are. It reminds me of a friend of mine had a post on Facebook of a statue of an angel that was like tied, I believe. I remember it looked like it was tied up, the angel. That's us. That's us. And that's all that icky karmic nonsense that we're still dragging with us because we're afraid to face our shadow. It's just you. It's just you. And you did that for a reason. Everyone serves a purpose. And if you're triggered by people in leadership, and I understand, I totally understand that. It's happened to me more than once. There's something to heal. Okay? And it's important as we come into our own power. Pluto is the phoenix rising from the ashes, that we take a look at the shadow. Just like Jesus ascended, first he descended. Okay, and it was interpreted by the people who didn't quite know how to interpret it, that he went down to hell. But he went through his own personal pilgrimage there within himself, is what he's saying. Okay, so, all right, that's enough about my sessions, and I really wanted to get that out there. I'm not sure exactly who that was for, because honestly, when we prepared the material, we did not talk about that, but he was definitely talking about it there. So a lot of times you'll see me, I'll say, yeah, and that's because I'm talking to Metatron. So I am Metatron, Jesus, Michael, they're all here with me today. I've always have the Marys here right there too. My midheaven is with Vega. Vega, we're going to talk about too, because I put a post on Facebook. I limited the post this week just because people were really like, ah. But yeah, the Vega is where the South Node is right now. And Vega is the representation of the energy of Mary. It's a pale blue. And I don't have anything. Oh, yes, I do. It's a pale blue star, one of the brightest in the heavens. It falls at about 14 Capricorn, or 15, 14 and change, I think, of Capricorn. And that's where the South Node is. And the North Node right now is with Sirius, which is the energy of the Phoenix. I have quite a few representations of the Phoenix because I got a lot of Pluto. So the Phoenix, I love that. So the Phoenix rising from the ashes. How's everybody doing with this Saturn South Node, by the way? Lots of fun. It gives you a whole lot of energy, doesn't it? I'm so tired. Like, I think it was the day of the solstice. I was just like, I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy. Because we're dealing with obstruction of justice, is what Metatron just said. We're dealing with abuse of power scenarios. And that's what the energy is. As above, so below. That's what's playing out in the planets right now. So, and it's through all of history, too, what Metatron is saying right now. The history of it that you're carrying in your person. And he wanted me to mention that this can also drum up a lot of fear within us. That's the lower energy. Fear is just an illusion. And he always is saying to me lately, because I have it going on too, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. And it's true. It's really like the fear that keeps us from moving forward is really the only obstacle that there is. Everything else is just, when there's hindrances put up, it's to steer us into another direction, or maybe we're coming to a place of pause. Okay, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's always like this when we're getting ready to step into something new. And believe me, we are getting ready to step into something new. So, For the new moon in Libra, I pulled a card for Metatron, like to do like the overlying energy. And this is what he gave me. The Hanged Woman. And it's interesting, in the chart, this new moon energy is what's called intercepted for the universal chart. I always pull the charts for universal time. And so I just wanted to show you, first of all, the chart. So this is showing, we're going to talk about that Venus, Mercury. If you look over here, where my pinky is, sorry, my pinky, there you'll see Mercury's got the antennas on his head. And with him is Venus, who is the ruler of this new moon. And then between Venus and the sun and moon coming together there at the new moon, when we plant a seed, between them is what's called the vertex. And the vertex is a karmic marker. It is definitely a karmic signature. When I look at charts, we're always going to talk about the South Node, the vertex, Black Moon, Lilith. These are the places where we want to focus for healing in the natal chart. Of course, you know, the higher vibration of Lilith is that she's someone who knows who she is, and she's independent, and she isn't going to be subservient. She can also be subversive and sneaky and be like the lower feminine energies too. So all of these bodies have the higher and the lower energies. The vertex that I use is not the asteroid. It's a point in the sky, and in your own chart it'll show like something karmic that happened. It always falls supposedly between the fourth to the 8th house, but I have done one chart that it fell into the 9th house. So you want to look at the lower energies of what those houses would be, and that's where you would focus for the healing if you want to do that with by yourself. So in light of the card, the Hanged Woman, when we just surrender and let go, we take a collective pause. And Metatron is reminding me that it doesn't mean that there was anything done wrong. It's just the universe getting its ducks in a row, his or her ducks in a row, and getting the path ready. Soul family coming in to help you. You know, just remember, it works like cogs in a wheel. We're not independent, we're interdependent. So a lot of times we could be waiting for someone else to make a choice, or waiting for things to play out, for things to come together literally, physically. Timelines now, I'm seeing like what's happening now is that we're finishing up. What do you want to say about that? The marrying of those, or the sewing together of those, is what he's saying in order for us to move forward. So Metatron had me look at the Omega symbols, and that website that I'm using I will put in the description box. And this new moon is falling at 5 degrees and change of Libra. So whenever you look up the Sabian symbol or the Omega symbol, the Chandra symbol, you want to look at the initial degree, okay, because that's the karmic degree. And then you want to look at the following, like what it's going toward. Okay, and those will give you a good idea when you're looking at, I love looking at the nodes in my own chart. That's the soul, like the lodestar. Okay, that's like the North Star of the chart. Okay, so let's look at 5 degrees of Libra, a flagpole with no flag. You cannot align yourself with any one group. You simply will not limit yourself in that way. You are not aggressively or even openly rebellious, but you are beyond the usual systems that run the world. This is Uranus, by the way. It causes you to emit a fresh and open vibration that relates to life in a purely direct way, unencumbered by the past. And the Azoth symbol is a man tuning in to the music of the spheres. Remember how I talked about in the September video how important that music plays a role, and that's still true now. And when it's talking about aligning yourself with any one group, I think that that's really putting where we're so attached to politics, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen, even if it like we look at it and we say, oh, that wasn't. It's still Whoever is meant to be in power is in power, and that's the way that it is, whether we like it or not. It always serves a purpose. The shadow always serves the light in some way. Libra 6. On a long voyage, many icebergs. Do you see the water? Do you see the giant iceberg? Many icebergs encountered on a long voyage. You do not operate by agendas, for you are always aware that everything is changing, and so the path ahead also changes. And someone commented about this on my last video, that there was confusion about like, how can we not be on the right path if you're saying that we're, I forget how she worded the comment, but I just want to explain that. There are many avenues to the same destination. That's what Metatron always says to me, because I see the timelines playing out and I start making plans and getting ready to make that move. And then it's like, oh, not happening. But there are many avenues. There are many ways to get to where you'd like to go. Some of us, with the Neptune Jupiter square playing out this year, the Saturn South Node Pluto energy that we've been contending with for many, many months now. I want to say it was February when they first came together, but we're still going, through that. We've fallen into old habits, and we've taken our eyes off the prize. We've allowed negative thinking to skew our perception of what's going on. And so this is just reiterating that you are aware that everything is always changing. And so the path ahead, like the little bit of the path that we are able to see, may have shifted for you, but it doesn't mean that long term you aren't going to reach your goal. You just may be getting there a different way than you had contemplated at first. You sense the feelings of everyone around you, especially the emotional places of blockage and pain, and know how to move with and through these in a smooth, almost invisible manner, going with the flow. You have the potential of getting a tremendous amount of things accomplished, albeit slowly and gradually. And that's important right now when we're looking at these energies. Appreciate that slowly and gradually is really how you build things of permanence, that long-standing structures are built slowly and gradually, that it takes a while to climb that mountain. It isn't that we are zipping up there without anything. That wouldn't be any fun, right? How else are we going to learn lessons unless we have icebergs and a mountain where we have like, oh, let's go off on this little trail for a while and then we come back to the path. The Chandra symbol for this is, I'm not going to do that, right? Okay. And then the Azoth symbol is at land's end, a high rock, and in it, a tower. Remember that Saturn, South Node, Pluto, that's the tower energy. So if the tower hasn't happened in some aspect of your life to this point, not to be in fear of it, because if we don't have a change and a shift, and it's always with the tower a chance to learn how to let go, how to trust, and how to allow the Creator to put it all back together. And to trust that He will. That's what Metatron is saying. It's a chance to learn trust. I'm really good at that game. Trust. So when we're talking about Venus and Mercury, which is commerce and money, in some aspects, and they're in a square to that Saturn Pluto South Node, that is a lot of root chakra energy, like where we're going to be focused on working on our root chakra. So if you want to just now with me, I do this in private sessions, and Metatron has been doing this quite a bit lately. If you want to just close your eyes, if you're able to do that now, take a deep cleansing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with your feet on the floor, I want you to surrender to the power of, or the process of your own transformation. Say yes, that you allow that to happen, that you allow the Creator to open the root chakra by releasing fear and alignments to anyone or anything, any situation or any circumstance that is holding you back. Knowing that control and having control over another is an illusion. That you accept that you only have control and only have power over your actions and your reactions and your thought processes. You could just say yes if that's okay. Just witnessing, surrendering fear, allowing yourself to be fed and to be invigorated by the energy of pure love that flows up to you from the earth, and knowing that you are safe and secure and supported in that energy. Say yes if that's okay. And that you allow yourself to move forward in a place of surrender and security. And that the two of them function together harmoniously, yes? Okay. Okay, just a little mini healing session, but I just felt like we needed to do that. A lot of people, I mean, when Neptune's retrograde, that could be fear, doubt, illusion, as he is now while he's squaring Jupiter, which amplifies the energy. And I mean, there's, of course, the higher vibration of that being that, you know, you're infinite, that you receive unconditional love. But the lower energies of this Saturn, because Saturn is still with the South Node. He's moving forward, but he is still with the South Node. So he needs to. It's sort of like when a planet is with the South Node, and in your own chart, you want to look 10 degrees from the South Node. Anything that's with the South Node, it's sort of like it's the energy of that planet is like spinning its tires. It can't quite get off the ground. You know, that's healing, and that's where you want to focus your healing too, because it was something that you contended with in other timelines that you're coming back to change, you know, and this one to heal and to learn from. So when Saturn is with the South Node, it's the old man, and we all feel that. It's like tired. We're tired, and we feel depleted, is what Metatron is saying. And that can lead to fear, okay, or the illusion that we've done something wrong. You know, that's also the lower Saturn energies. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. And so what he was talking about with this Venus Mercury is that it's really important for us right now to take stock of our finances. So not necessarily, you know, giving yourself a budget that makes you feel like so restricted or holding yourself to some impossible standard when it comes to spending money. But just a lot of times when we are, you know, when we're doing the work of the light in a lot of different existences, money was something that we were like, oh no, I don't want any of that. And so what happens then now is that we don't have any idea what's going on with our money. You know, like I remember years ago looking at my checking account statement for the first time in a very long time and realizing that I had monthly, you know, what do you call that? Where they're pulling out money every month because I signed up for something that I don't even use anymore. Having an idea, just knowing and being cognizant of what is coming in and what is going out and where it's going. Because it could really make a change for you, you know, and then taking responsibility for that. Not condemning yourself. That's not what it means. It just is, it brings you a sense of empowerment. Not condemning ourselves overspending, because whenever there is overspending, you're trying to fill a hole with resources, and most likely it's because you felt neglected, weren't getting love and nurtured as a child a lot of times. And so you're making up for that by being nice to yourself now, but in a way that's actually causing you to have that, like, the subconscious, like a guilty complex thing going on because of the spending. So just being cognizant and aware of what's coming in and what's going out, and allowing yourself to come to a place of worthiness and realizing how valuable you are. That's also Pluto, worth. And so when we have feelings that we, and also it relates to lack overspending, because it's like we only were, like we felt like we were more valuable or we were worth more when we had a lot of stuff around us. That's why I say, if you're in a place of where you're having money, like problems with money, or you feel like you don't have enough, try to get rid of whatever you can in your house and allow new money to come in, because a lot of times it's just things sitting stagnant that are blocking the flow of money coming in. So if you can clean anything out right now, that would be great to do with these energies. And then he was talking about conscious manifesting. You're always manifesting with your thoughts. And a lot of us right now are going over old stories, which is fine. I mean, that's the energy that we're in. But it's important that when you remember that when you were wronged by someone, say out loud, I love myself and I see myself in everyone. I love myself and I recognize myself in everyone. Libra is the mirror. Aries is the self. And Libra is the mirror, and how your partners are reflecting you to yourself. Again, whatever you think of another person is actually what an aspect of you thinks of yourself, or whatever they're showing you or demonstrating to you, Metatron is saying, is the way that an aspect of you agreed to. Why? It's important because otherwise it's going to keep playing itself out. And it'll keep coming at us, because when it's time to release something for healing, it will come up over and over again. I always say the universe drops a pebble, then it drops a stone, and then it drops a boulder, right? So just recognize that, and to have grace. He's saying grace for yourself and grace for everyone involved who reflected that story back to you. That's another thing that we do when we do the healings and sessions. When we're finished with the story removal, we share forgiveness, you for yourself, because that's the only one who's really holding it against you. The rest of it is an illusion. The other people may be showing you that you're holding it against yourself, but they're higher selves, and where it is that we're all interconnected and sparks of light together. No one's really holding anything against you. So when you forgive yourself, and then we ask forgiveness of everyone who we put in the position of reflecting the story to us, and we forgive them for reflecting the story to us, and then also for the lands and the places where these stories have taken place, and then when there was any money or resources involved, and we cleanse and return the soul fragments back to everyone. So it's taken from that land, from that place as well. Okay, and also bringing up doing healing for lands. The Congregation of the Emerald Fire, in the description box, it's free. There's a Zoom link there, and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, the first Sunday of every month, we send healing energy throughout the earth wherever we're called to send it by the Marys. And you can join us for free. You don't have to be on camera. You can do it by phone. You don't have to talk. But I'm teaching you how to do it yourself. You don't have to physically be in those places to heal them. The Creator is everywhere, and we're allowed to send His energy to those places. So I just want to mention that with all of the earth changes that are going on, a lot of people want to be able to do something to help, and that's a good way to do it. And it's free, like I said. So, and you can remain anonymous, Metatron is saying. You don't have to say anything at all. And then when we're in this energy of like having our partners reflect back to us our old stuff, like I said, just I forgive that story. You don't need to talk to anybody to do that. Seeing that energy, I see it as icky old roots coming out through the chakras. They run the connectors through the spinal cord. So just witnessing that energy dissipating through the Creator's pure white light, that pearly iridescent rainbow shimmering light, and seeing it going into the earth and allowing the earth to transmute that. The earth can do that. She's very powerful. So she can take all of that from you. And we want to make sure that we're going into this new moon energy with a heart that's filled with hope, okay? Instead of being stuck in that old Saturn South Node, I'm playing out old nasty karma stories. This is really a breaking of that too, where we're coming into a fresh sense of empowerment and new money situations, new partners, being open to soul family coming in to help you through wherever you're going to traverse, the landscape next, allowing the creator to bring you partners who show you your true worth and your true value, who respect you just like the creator does, and being open to having new friendships and new relationships. We're moving out of the hermit mode is what Metatron is saying, and coming into a place of connection with each other. You can always go to, is it Meetup? And find where there's like-minded people to talk to, or Facebook groups too. There are always like-minded people out there. As long as you ask to be brought to them, that will happen. I don't know what's going on, but I can't use my glasses today. And then resisting fear and replaying the tired old stories of lack. And how this isn't going to work out because, whenever we get into the nitty-gritty details, that's where Mercury, we can be doing that lower Virgo story. You are just allowed to relax and let it go and let it unfold magically, is what Metatron is saying. And what is it that you're holding on to? That's important, and that's something that you are, most of the time, we are not consciously aware of things that we're holding on to. Like a lot of times when people are staying in a marriage, it's because they don't think they're doing it for. I remember working on somebody once, and she said at the very beginning that she was ready to be done with the husband. She was fed up with him. We came to a placement in her chart where he stopped me, and he said she's afraid of being alone. And I repeated verbatim to the client what Metatron had said to me, and she was like, no, I'm not. But an aspect of her was before we did that healing. So if you allow yourself to, hear from the subconscious, from the higher self, and you do that through writing, and you don't have to make it like something that you're nervous about sitting down to do. Just start writing down your feelings and see what comes to you. Just see what comes to your mind. Give yourself a quiet place. He's saying to have a place of sanctuary, a corner in your house where you can sit and light candles, and there's something pretty to look at, something that makes you feel hopeful. Maybe a photograph, a memory that you could look at, and maybe some stones. You can set up a grid anytime. A Metatron, not yesterday, I think it was the day of the equinox. Metatron woke me up with an apparition that was over a grid that I have in my bedroom, and I didn't do anything fancy. It's a piece of wood. It's got stones. Pine cones, by the way, are nature's pyramids. You can always put one of those in the center of the grid. All of the hawk's feathers and all different colored feathers that they've given me are on that grid. And so twice now I've had apparitions appear just there. And, having a spot, I don't think about it all the time. I don't even meditate over there. But having a place in your house where you're allowed to just come and find a place of seclusion and just thinking about things. And you don't have to, I know that it's difficult a lot of times for people to get into a practice of meditation. If you just are taking deep cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, that's a great way to do it too, because things will come to your mind. Breath work right now is extremely important, especially when Mercury is squaring Saturn and Pluto. So if you can take time for pause and reflection and doing deep breathing during that, that's very important. A lot of times when we are feeling stressed, we aren't taking that breath down to our root chakra. I remember Sandalphon telling me months ago that in order to stay grounded with the Neptune-Pluto square, or I'm sorry, Neptune-Jupiter square happening, that waking up and taking the deep breath in through the nose to the root and going all the way down. He recommended that I do that 10 times in the morning when I wake up. So that's good advice. Obviously, if he's giving it to me, then it's good for all of us, right? Like, how would he tell me anything wrong for you? Divine timing is going to play a huge role in what's going on right now, okay? So really practicing patience, practicing the higher Jupiter energy. Jupiter is going to exit Sagittarius in beginning of December, and he will pass over the galactic center before he leaves, and he will leave you a gift. Sometimes Jupiter's gifts have come to me in a way that I would not have said that it was a gift, but it turned out to be a gift. It turned out later, upon reflection, Metatron is saying, that I decided that that was a gift, but it didn't seem like it at the time. So not, again, no fear in that. Just allowing yourself to relax and just see the potential of blessings and everything that happens to you and everything that's gone before. And when we're working with the tower energy too, you know, you're going to remember times of in your life when things were taken from you that seemed unfair. I recently was thinking about somebody who had done wrong to me years ago, and it was bad. I mean, it was bad. And it just kept coming to my mind for some reason, and I just kept saying, why? And I finally said, okay, show me what I did that made that happen. And I had done the exact same thing to this person in a different timeline. And so it was easy for me then to I felt terrible that I did that to the person too, because I love her. But I forgave myself and asked forgiveness, and then I just released it. So just trust that there was a reason for everything, okay, that is played out for you. And then it's important now with this new moon in Libra, because it's intercepted, good to cut ties with even family relationships and obligations. All obligations do not serve, okay? Obligations are where there's a have to. And that means that there's a resentment. Like if I said to you, listen, you have to do everything I'm saying in this video, you would be like, I don't have to do anything. But when there's an obligation, there's a have to. So obligations that you have to relationships that make you less than, okay, where there's an imbalance or there is an equal give and take, that's most definitely an obligation between the two of you, asking Michael, Metatron, Jesus, whoever you're comfortable with, Shiva, to sever those cords and ties for you. They're happy to oblige. Oh, funny, oblige. Metatron said he's happy to oblige. Or was that Michael? Yeah, it was Michael. But we're also in this, with this energy, there can be just a lot of dramas playing out, fear, grudges. Remember that for the people who don't watch these kinds of videos and don't practice the Christ consciousness, loving everyone, accepting everyone exactly how they are, not necessarily trusting them, but loving them, coming from a place of Christ's heart, okay, where we just love everyone and accept them exactly the way that they are. Grudges could be coming up, and for people, like maybe people are holding a grudge against you, and when you allow that to come into your energy, you're taking some responsibility for it. So allowing yourself to forgive the person, because remember, this probably played out differently somewhere else, and then moving out of drama, and also moving away from pride. And coming to, you don't need to, a lot of times in order to learn to be humble, we have a relationship where we're always, at least there's one relationship where we feel like we're being humiliated. That isn't the way that the Creator teaches humility. It's not the Creator's, you know, the way to practice being humble. So you're allowed to step out of that soul agreement as well. And taking responsibility for people who aren't enlightened as well, okay? Like carrying your spouse. That isn't going to work, because at some point your soul is going to say enough, and that's going to end. So better to just release it energetically now, let things, maybe the person will have a turnaround and things will change. And so you don't need to rush out and end relationships, but do it energetically first. Just say, you know, Creator, I'm released from any contracts that no longer serve me. I'm asking that contract be finished and wrapped up with a bow on top in the most graceful way possible, without drama and without fear or without grudging, and just allowing that relationship to go. But just expect that as we move into October, the October astrology is huge. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do that before Tuesday, Hopefully I have time in my schedule before this coming Tuesday to make that video, but the 1010 gateway is just ginormical. It's huge, you guys. It's beautiful. It's a breath of fresh air, as what Metatron is saying. So Pluto will have moved forward half of this Libra season. The ruler of Libra, Venus, will be in Scorpio. Thankfully, Pluto will have moved forward within that 24-hour period of Mercury moving into Scorpio. Pluto will begin moving out of his retrograde, but he is in retrograde when Mercury enters Scorpio. I believe that that's a foreshadowing because Mercury is going to retrograde in Scorpio. The reason that I know not just me, a lot of you, I mean, I've talked to so many of you during these Mercury retrogrades this year. I never make a big deal of them, but they have kicked my booty. And because he's been in water. He was in Pisces, then he was in Cancer, and now he's going to spend 2 months in Scorpio. So welcome to my club, people. But it's going to be good because we're going to get into all of the occult knowledge that we have, all of the like esoteric knowledge that we have, the astrological knowledge that we have. We're going to learn how to be problem solvers, detectives, and we're going to hear like what stories in the subconscious are still holding us back. What are we resisting, letting go of? That's all the great magic of Scorpio. And coming into your own sense of power through the Creator's pure love. That is the most powerful energy that there is, right? So anyway, everybody, I hope that this was helpful to you. A lot more information. I thought this was going to be a really short video, but now what are we? Oh my gosh, yeah, that's long. So anyway, everybody, everyone take care, and I hope that it will be before Tuesday, but I don't think that it's going to be possible for me to get to October's video before Tuesday. But anyway, we're moving forward in divine timing, okay? I have Mars at his degree of exaltation, and my ascendant is 29 degrees of Aries. Being patient is something that I am working at. I'm not happy. Cancel. I mean, I now understand it, but I wasn't thrilled that the classes aren't up yet. But that's the way that it has to be. And I taught that class specifically at that time for the people who were in that class. They had things coming up that they needed to have their Metatron attunements for and to have those teachings for. And so I know that the Creator, that Metatron, are making sure that those teachings are available to all of you exactly when your soul is ready. There's no other way that it would happen. So remember that the universe is always conspiring to bring you your heart's desire, okay? Doesn't look so much like we're in a twin flame coming together energy, but with the Saturn South Node, like I said, that's going to be a lot of lessons that we're learning with soulmates. Not a bad thing, but not a permanent stable energy that we're working with right now. More like we're still in that times they are a changing is what he's playing for me right now. And I just remember the Hanged Man, the Hanged Woman. That's the stance that we're in now. Just a place of surrender and allowing things to complete. And then moving forward in October, we'll have that 1010 gateway, and then we'll be able to see all of the magic that we've been planting, all of the seeds we've been planting come to fruition and blossom for all of us. So anyway, guys, try to get, plant a seed. I make a list for the new moon of what I'd like to create. I make a list of what I'd like to release on the other side of the paper. I burn that in a burning bowl, or I have this little handy moon goddess bowl. And then you can just sprinkle the ashes on the ground, allow the angels and the universe then to take those. And yeah, so everybody take care. I know that this is exhausting, this Saturn South Node. It's exhausting, but we're the 10th, they're 2 degrees apart. And then as we come to like the 3rd week of October, like I've been saying, that's more a forward push, okay? So, all right, everybody, take care. Love to everyone. Thank you. Bye.